The question is this the war of Gog and Magog? Because it certainly looks like it. I mean,
do you agree with what Israel is doing? If you're asking about, do I agree with Israel bombing some parts of Gaza? No, I don't agree with what Israel is doing. I actually think they should do much more. They should completely annihilate the whole place, take over the land. Anyone that wants to survive just simply has to leave. They annihilate everything, make it into a little football field, and then whoever is a decent human being is going to be allowed to live there under Jewish rule. That's what I think they should do.
The whole Middle East changes.
There is one Persian guy, he used to be at 8200 unit. You know what's 8200? 8200. 8200, it's like a CIA unit. They spy on people. One of them, his name is Eliyahu Yosian. He said there's no such thing civilians in Gaza. Everyone there is a terrorist. From age 0, they train them to be murderers, and their dream is to murder Jews. From very young age, 3. My dream is to kill Jews. So from a very young age, everyone is a terrorist. And when they kill Jews, they all dance, they give candy, they come to the street. When they kidnap the Jews, you saw thousands of them were beating them up. Every one of them is Hamas. There's no such thing, Hamas and civilians. There's just old women, they can fight. But they have the same ideology. You ask them, you want the Hamas to torture and rape Jews and burn them alive? Of course. You won't find 1 out of 1,000 that say no. Guarantee. I stand behind what I say. Guarantee. 2.5 million people in Gaza. Each one of them is an extreme Nazi. Almost each one of them. There's some exception to the rules, but mamash very little. Eliyahu Yosian spoke to hundreds of soldiers. And the general, in the middle of the speech, grabbed him from the stage and kicked him out. Why? Because he said all the people of Gaza are terrorists. There's no difference between civilians and terrorists. After what the general saw, he still preferred to be on the side of them and not on the side of his Jewish people. Things like that, it's called Erev Rav. It's very interesting because the Gaon Mivilna said that in the end of days, when before Mashiach come, there will be a nation that is mixed with Amalek, and we see what they do. They do the things of Amalek. A nation that is mixed with Amalek, this Palestinian, and the Erev Rav of the Jews are also a part of Amalek. That's the stupidity of these Israelis. 1 minute, they get butchered by these monsters. A minute later, they run to take care of them. It's against the Torah. The Torah gives no permission to have mercy on the evil. It's against God's law. You cannot have mercy on the wicked. You're not allowed to do act of kindness to the wicked. You're not allowed to love them. You're not allowed to socialize with them. You're not allowed to marry them. You're not allowed to do anything with them. Not to be even in the same room with them. Not to shake their hands and not to look in their face. That's the divine laws. Stay away from evil. Stay away from wicked. Enough with this hypocrisy. They come to comfort the parents of the murderers. Ahmed, it's all because of the occupation. And even if Israel will give them now the status, say, okay, we give up. We move to the United States. What do you think they're going to do? Continue to search for Jews to kill them. Why? That's their job in the world. That's their job. That's the only reason they are alive. Hashem keep them alive to torture us. I know it's hard to hear it, but it's not my opinion. It's written in a Zohar and it's written in a Gemara. Every time we go off the path, Hashem trigger them to come do something. Again and again and again and again. Close the door, please.
You must remember what Amalek has done to you, says our Holy Bible. And we do remember, and we are fighting our brave troops and combatants who are now in Gaza or around Gaza and in all other regions in Israel are joining this chain of Jewish heroes, a chain that has started 3,000 years ago from Joshua ben Nun.
It's time that we let the world know we are the representatives of Hashem, of God, in the world, to show the world how God wants people to behave. We don't need the UN, and we don't need other philosophers or other politicians to tell us what's right and what's wrong, what's holy and what's unholy. We don't need anyone to tell us. We need them to listen to us. Only the morality of Torah makes any sense at all. And the world knows this. I think it's time we stop trying to impress people with the fact that we are democratic. Stop it. Nobody's interested. Nobody's impressed. Let's start telling the world who Jews are. Let them be the students. We should be the teachers.
Yes, the Jewish people are the chosen ones, 100%. There's no question about it. There is no such thing as, oh, we're going to be equal. No, there is no equality. There is a chosen people that God decided, and then there's everybody else. Every Jew will have 2,800 students, if you will, Gentiles, that want to learn Torah from him.
Become more proud of who we are and who we and what we stand for. Stop bowing to false gods. Stop believing in false philosophies, because the world has not made much progress.
The only divine document that has ever existed and exists today is the Torah and nothing else. Not the Quran, not the New Testament, not the Buddhist teachings, not the spiritual teaching, nothing else. The only divine document, the only truthful document that has always existed is the Torah.
They don't want to hear from us that we read their books. They want to hear from us what it says in our book.
Now, that means that everyone is going to accept or reject it. There's no middle ground. There's no like, oh, maybe yes, maybe no. Either you accept it or you reject it. This is going to be the process. This is going to determine who's going to survive, who's not.
So what are the Goyim supposed to do? When Klal Yisrael is supreme and the nations of the world are subject to the Jewish people and under the umbrella of the Jewish people, they have rectification. They have tikkun. That's tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is not teaching about recycling. Recycling is not Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam is not save the planet. Tikkun Olam is not the ozone. Tikkun Olam is when Jews are Shomrei Torah u'mitzvos, and the Gentiles recognize the supremacy of the Jewish people, and they assist us. That's Tikkun Olam.
So it's not slavery where there's whipping and killing and torturing or anything like that. There's no such thing. People that accept it, 100%, are going to be the part of the people that survive. People that reject it, fight against it, are going to be part of the 2/3 of the world that die.
Let the army go. Let them do what they know how to do. Don't give them limits and don't give them rules and don't tell them how to fight. They are the soldiers. And whatever they do, you defend them to the world, because they're doing what has to be done.
Everyone is better off when Klal Yisrael is supreme. Why? Well, because then Klal Yisrael generates more Kedusha, and then the nations of the world are subject to the Jewish people.
These terrorists are all a bunch of cowards. If they knew that the army is free to do whatever they want to do, to bring back control and to punish the criminal, they will be terrified. They are depending on politics to save them. Somebody's going to suggest a ceasefire. God forbid. What a ceasefire. What are these? Two armies fighting each other? Surprise them that you are not limited anymore in what you do and how you do it, and that they can't use that against you anymore. That's the new tone we need to hear. We need to hear we're not playing by your rules. We're playing by the rules of the Torah. Now you're in trouble. Run for your life.
What will Israel's response be? Well, the Secretary of the Cabinet says this will be the last war against Gaza. This is going to be it right now. That remains to be seen.
Who's a civilian? Hold up a white flag. I'll know that you're a civilian. I won't shoot you.
هذه المدارس فيها آلاف النازحين آلاف النازحين.
At the end of times, first and foremost, is going to be a war called Gog and Magog. Gog and Magog is you want to call it World War III. This war will start with a war between Ishmael, which is the Muslims, and Edom, which is the Christians. It's going to be a world war. Initially, they're going to kill each other, fight each other, try to destroy each other, but then they're going to turn around, stop the fight, and then both of them attack Israel. Simply blaming everything on Israel, which is not so far from the reality that we already have in the world today. And part of the prophecy is that at some point, the Ishmael will rule over Israel for a period of 9 months. But at some point, the Mashiach is going to come. The Jewish Mashiach is going to come. The Jewish Mashiach is going to come, and the war is going to take the next big step. Once the Mashiach, son of David, will come, he will fight against the enemies of Am Yisrael. He will defeat all of them. 2/3 of the world are going to die, are going to be destroyed during these wars, some at different parts, but 2/3 of the world will die in a short period of time. The Gaon Vilna says 8 minutes. There's going to be a nuclear war where there's, as part of this Gog and Magog, where in 8 minutes 2/3 of the world are going to die. 1/3 will remain. That third that remains, some of them will survive, but needless to say, the majority that survive are going to be Gentiles. If a Jew is not Torah observant, they're not going to survive this Gog and Magog. The only people that are going to survive are Jews that are righteous Jews, that are Torah observant. They're observing Shabbat, they're observing family purity, they're observing the Torah. That is what gives us a right to exist. The Gentiles, they have to observe the 7 Noahide laws, which are fewer but not necessarily easy.
Only if they become Chasidei Umay Sa'olam, which means that they want to live according to the teachings of the Torah, according to the way our Chachamim explain it and translate it. Only then will the world become decent.
And they could then hang their hats on the Jewish people. In other words, a guy has tikkun when he's able to recognize the supremacy of the Jewish people and try to assist the Jewish people in any way. So therefore, the Jewish people are elevated, and the nations of the world are elevated. It's good for everyone. It's good for the Jews. It's good for the non-Jews.
Amalek has another face that is not very known, unless you go back and read about Esav, the grandfather himself. It is the concentration of the bad. Esav is the father of Edom, the Edomites. They are related, aren't they? Grandfather and grandson. And where do you see it today? Where do you see the relationship today? Anybody know? No. Today, it is possible to recognize who Amalek is and who is Edom. There are a lot of nations in the world that belong to Edom. The Roman Empire is all Edom. Italy is the seat of the Roman Empire of Edom. Even though Edom is scattered, many other nations today that speak Latin languages that have something of the Roman Empire, including America. So Edom is everywhere, and the United States of America is also part of Edom. Rabbis tell us that the Jewish people received 3 mitzvot upon entering the land of Israel. The mitzvah of choosing a king, the mitzvah of destroying any vestige of Amalek, and the mitzvah of building the Bet HaMikdash.
First, establish a king. Then, number 2, to destroy Amalek, and number 3, to build the Holy Temple.
We have entered the land. There's an ingathering taking place right now. What's going to happen soon? We're going to have a king, Melech HaMashiach. We have to have a Bet HaMikdash. So we know that the destruction of Amalek is imminent. Soon, it will be his turn to be destroyed.
Within a year or 2 or 5, we'll all have to run away from here. Once we will leave this place, Hashem will bury America. That's what's going to happen. Not because I'm some kind of a prophet. I'm not giving you any prophecies here. I'm just describing to you a divine formula. The chosen people, where they're going to live. And you'll be good to them and nice to them. I will bless you from the place. The Torah has a source for it.
Well, it's a mitzvah to kill Amalek if we know who Amalek is. And the Rambam tells us that Amalek, if they do take upon themselves the 7 mitzvahs, 7 Noah laws, there's no mitzvah to kill Amalek. That's thing people don't realize that if they end their fierce vicious of the killing habit that they have, and the nation that they have, like we see the Germans and the Amalekites and Haman and people like that want to kill the Jewish people, and with their wickedness that they have. But if they want to not become Jewish, but they want to just keep the 7 laws, we also there's no mitzvah to kill Amalek. But if you know Amalek, who with his wickedness doesn't want to do the right thing, even the 7 basic mitzvahs of a person, not to steal, not to kill, and so on. So then it's a mitzvah on every yochid to kill an Amaleki. That if he knows who he is, and it would be within the laws of the land, because you're not going to kill people if not without the law of the land. But if Jewish people on their land, when they have the right king who's leading them, and the mitzvah to Amalek, it would be such a mitzvah.
Who can I call?
Out of a third of the world, if you have, let's say, by then, 9 billion people, a third of the world, let's just calculate, for easy calculation, is 3 billion, 200 million Jews survive, which again, we only know of 20 million right now, but let's say 200 million survive. Even if all of them survive, that still leaves 2.8 billion non-Jews.
However, when the Gentiles break out and dominate this world, and their ideology dominates the world, it's bad for everyone. Bad for the Jews, because the Jews sink lower and lower. And it's bad for the Gentiles, because they have no one to hang their hat on. They have nothing to exist for, and their existence is rendered not meaningful. Their existence is for the betterment of the Jewish people. The house of Yaakov is a fire. The house of Yosef is a flame. Uveis Esav lakash. V'dolku vahem. We will ignite them. V'achalum. V'loi yeh samid l'peis Esav. Esav is gone. He's out of here.
So,
Brandon